All right, y'all. Welcome back to the homestead. Today's video is going to be intense because we're going to talk about the stock market meltdown. And you're going to come with me while we do some chores, baby. Because here on the Manti Homestead, the message is about being prepared so that when you have days like Thursday and Friday, you're not in fear, you're not in panic, and you just don't completely lose your collective mind. So if there is a little bit of that going on, hey, we're here for the virtual hug. Give me a hug, give me a hug. I'll give you a hug and you give me a like and subscribe, all right? Okay, so between Thursday and Friday, U.S. equities went down, the stock market went down, and over $5 trillion just evaporated. So Friday alone, the stock market went down over 5.5%. Y'all, that is actually a worse percentage drop than after 9/11, the largest terrorist attack on our homeland. So what we're talking about is definitely something to be taken serious. I don't want to minimize it, but I'm actually here to say you have not seen anything yet, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, I'm going to give you some good news about what's happening with the tariffs and what's happening with the meltdown of the stock market. You ready for some good news? Because all that you've heard is bad news. Well, here's something that you're maybe not getting on some of these financial channels. Okay, so because of the tariffs, look at these goats. By the way, they're all going to be having babies here in just, I think, any time. So you're going to have 6 mothers giving birth to 2 to 3 goats. So at least 12 babies. It's going to be amazing here on the homestead. Follow up in other videos and I'll tell you why we do goats. There's a reason. We have milk cows which give us delicious milk. Why would you do goats then? There's a lot of things we do on the homestead, and you know what it does? It gives us preparation, baby. It gives us security. And if you're prepared, you shall not fear. So, you know what I was doing Friday when everything was freaking out, everyone's freaking out, is we just drilled a new well, baby. You know, we've got one of the largest greenhouses I know of, one of the very few actual 4-season greenhouses that work in Utah. And mine works without electricity. And so we're going to hook up water to it. So I spent, probably about $3,000 in different water tanks and pressure tanks, because I'm going to set up the coolest off-grid system for water to feed into my greenhouse that you've ever seen. And I'm going to share every single idea. Just like the greenhouse, you can go to my playlist, you can go to the construction playlist, and I'll tell you every dang secret. I hold nothing back. I've been prompted to share it with you, so it's there for free because I love you guys. Like and subscribe. Okay, so because of the issue with the tariffs, everybody is retaliating. You know, we have on record 4 people talking about how America's getting ripped off in global trade. And those 4 people are Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Donald Trump. And so here we have one person who actually followed through and implemented reciprocal tariffs, which means, hey, you're charging us when we sell our goods, and we're going to charge you, and we're going to reciprocate it to similar levels. Now, there's a lot of things that go in there, and you might have a lot of opinions. That's fine, but I'm going to tell you who's to blame, and you're probably not going to like it. So because we had the whole world selling off all of that money that was lost, one of the greatest percentage losses in the stock market in history. You had the VIX index, which is like the fear index. It flew off the handle. So right now, the fear index that is gauged, I don't know how they come up with it, but they measure it. And right now, there's so much fear out there that they say it goes back all the way to 2008, when the whole global economy was in utter meltdown due to the subprime mortgage crisis created by, you know who, America. Well, anyway, the current crisis has so much fear. Sorry, I'm not getting many chores done. The global crisis has so much fear that it can only be measured to that moment when the whole world economy, melted down. All right. Now, because of that, this is the ironic thing. we have people who are fleeing to safety. And usually when people flee to safety, well, obviously if they have cash, they will go and they will put their money in cash. But what they're doing, they're putting their money into American treasuries. Isn't that ironic? So we have a massive amount of people across the globe that are taking their money and they're buying American bonds. What that means is they're buying American debt. So you actually have right now the 10-year treasury bond, the 2-year treasury bonds dropping like a dead fly. Boop. Okay, well, what does that mean? America is able to renegotiate its national debt. That is $36 trillion is now, every day we're churning over debt, issuing new debt. We have record amounts of reissuance of our debt at high rates that are being reissued now at lower rates. There's your silver lining. Whoa, what does that mean? No, so translate this. Because you're an American, you might have credit card debt. If you can, I urge you to do everything you can to get rid of that debt. Okay, America has a lot of it. And that is my point. The $36 trillion reason for our current crisis is bipartisan. I remember with Bush, and I'm like, I am a Republican, okay? So here at the Homestead, I love every single one of you, so we can have differences of politics. But the $36 trillion problem is extremely bipartisan. I remember, of course, Clinton had major deficits. Then Bush came in with crazy deficits. Oh, but 9/11, blah, blah, blah. Well, whatever. And then when Obama was spending, I was extremely critical. But I'll be honest with you, Trump's first administration, he outspent Obama. And then you have Joe Biden. I mean, just disgusting. And so now you have some talks of trying through Doge and some of these other things going on that you're going to have some fiscal sanity return. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I actually applaud a lot of the things that are happening, but it's really hard. It's extremely hard. So the way I liken it, so I'm basically saying I like some of these tariffs. I think reciprocating tariffs as articulated in prior videos by Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump. Reciprocal tariffs has been a bipartisan idea that I think is necessary. And the one benefit right now is, the stock market's melting down. But I think that America's dollar is in massive, massive danger. And that's the real thing you should be looking at. Because in the past, we could badger the world as much as we wanted because we had the dollar. And okay, we still do. I told you, we're benefiting right now. People's fear is turning to them buying like our treasuries. And now we're renegotiating our debt. No one's talking about this. That is the big silver lining here. But what happens when that isn't the case? What happens when confidence is lost in the American dollar? What happens when we have a crisis like this? What happens when we have a crisis like this and then our treasury rates go up? What would cause that to happen, Nate? Because it's not happening, so stop being so fearful. Well, I'll tell you what would happen. I mean, right now we have digital currencies that are promising to usurp the dollar. We have the BRICS nations, which used to be, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. But now there's like over 40 countries that are signing on to conglomerate in their own financial system outside of the dollar. So a rival currency to rival the dollar. Well, when that turns on, baby, is it game over? I don't know. But we won't be able to use the dollar to badger the world. And that, my friends, is when you're going to have actual fear and you're going to have actual chaos. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Monday could be an absolutely bloodbath. I mean, I think if we don't have positive news on the tariffs today and tomorrow, so Saturday and Sunday, by the time Monday comes around, it could be very ugly. I mean, it could be buckle up season because right now the average American is finding out that Thursday and Friday happened and they're looking at their 401ks and people react and they sell. And so we could be in for a wild ride. But I'm just saying, when BRICS occurs and when that rivalry to the dollar is solidified, and when digital currencies sweep across this globe, and basically when people like who are our enemies, who we've outsourced our debt to, Russia, China, when they use their debt, I mean, they hold trillions of dollars of our debt, which is really like in a digital and economic game of chess, they hold the cards, they hold the piece. Got to use my right analogies here. If they wanted to go and sell off debt, then flood the market with treasuries, that could have a reverse effect, and our bond rates could go through the roof, even though right now we're benefiting from it. Okay, move, girls. That's for the cows. I wasn't getting many chores done, so I had to push stop for a second. All right, here's a good little spot to have a break. Oh, by the way, Sky, look what I found. My brother Sky owns a business, Ridge Belts. He sells like the coolest hunting belts on earth. Anyway, I lost my hat for like probably 5-6 months. I used to wear this all the time. So Sky, if you're watching, let me know in the comments. And by the way, I found my hat. Okay, so I've already talked about how it's bad and it could get worse. It could get worse even by Monday. And it could get a lot worse if people start selling our treasuries. People, our enemies, Russia, China, start selling our treasuries. It could get a lot worse if the global conglomerate we currently call BRICS becomes the solid alternative to the dollar. If people start fleeing to this future and very soon to be alternate currency of global trade, if they flee to that in crisis and not the dollar, I mean, we're talking game over. We're talking like we are Venezuela overnight hyperinflation over. I mean, it could be, a lot of people say, oh, there's no way. I'm telling you, there's a way. And then the other thing is that if we have some of these global leaders turn on like Taiwan and Japan, and if microchips become, a thing again, I mean, we would just be instantly propelled into World War III. So I am using this moment. I am using the fear index that's out there to tell you why you, first of all, shouldn't be fearful. Because you should be doing daily incremental preparations on a daily basis, small and simple ways, so that when things like this happen, you are not fearful. Prepping will actually decrease your anxiety. Like it does, because the adage, if you're prepared, you shall not fear, is so true. Now, what does that mean? I mean, we just got over here with milk goats, they're milk goats, and we're over here with mini Jersey cows. I can't do that, Nate. We're gonna be in my greenhouse in just a minute. We got backyard chickens and rabbits. We have a well. Okay, I get it. I am not here to tell you what you should do. You should be doing something. I will say that, and I will scream that on the housetop, baby. But you've got to just start with, if you can, daily, weekly, monthly preparations of what is in your realm to do. So I love the idea with starting with your pantry. You go and you go and inventory what you have for food storage right now. So if you don't have long-term food storage, which is ideal, then start with your short-term all day long. I love the idea of if you're like most Americans, you've got 3 months worth of, 3 months, excuse me. You've got 3 days worth of food in your pantry. Well, what would it take for you to go and to have, I'm talking about the things that you use on a normal basis, What would it take for you to increase that up to a week, and then a month, and then maybe 3 months? Ideally, my goal used to be 6 months. Now it's 2 years of pantry, not 2 years of wheat and grain and all that. We can talk about that later. I'm talking about my goal is to have 1 to 2 years of pantry stuff. That's stuff that are non-perishable items that I get from the store anyway. So I go to the store of Nate because I've got that mac and cheese in my basement, and then I replenish it from the store, sure. But if the store stopped going, I'm eating Yellow Death, which is mac and cheese, for several months. And boy, that'll be a comfort food if the world melts down. If you're like the last one on the Titanic eating mac and cheese, oh yeah, baby. Hello, rabbits. Good. This chore is actually Trevor's. By the way, make sure you check out the Homestead Boys. It's in a playlist. It's my boys who just went off-grid camping, and it's hilarious. By the way, another way to decrease anxiety is work, baby. Work, work, work. It is a spiritual necessity. And the more we get back to the sweat of our brow, first of all, the more it looks like Eden, baby. But the healthier we are. We live in a life of just the utmost convenience. And so when we have a threat to that, like the stock market goes down and, inflation goes up, tariffs on our goods, might mean less availability as well as high prices. Yeah, I get that it's scary because we've gone away from producing this stuff on our own. So there are things that you and I can do. Again, it might not be this big flipping behemoth greenhouse, but maybe it is for some of you. Maybe it is. Grow boxes, backyard garden, pantry food storage, and definitely long-term food storage. Buying Bitcoin and gold and silver, though good, will mean absolutely nothing when people are starving. You're going to be dumping that faster than anything you can imagine to buy a handful of grain. Because when you're hungry, none of that matters. You can't eat gold. You can't eat your debt. And you can't eat your anxiety. So my message today is do something about it so that the next time this massive crisis happens, you have a little less fear because you're a little more prepared. All right, let me know about the video. I know it was a little intense. Check out the Homestead Boys. Check out my other videos. And please, if you've made it this far, like and subscribe. It's like my reward only really comes knowing you're out there, that we're talking to each other. And leave me comments of what you're doing on your homesteads and for your preparations, or let me know what you're kind of fearful about, and I'll address them in the next video. All right, see you later.